Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J. Stan McCauley, along with the champions of talk. This morning's talk champion in the house, none other than Cleo Duke-Wright. Good morning there, Miss Cleo. How you doing?
I'm doing well this morning. How are you?
I'm doing exceedingly well.
Good.
Well indeed. Well indeed. How was your week?
Well, busy.
Busy week?
Busy week. Very busy week.
Anything special happened during the week?
Oh, well, it happened Sunday. I preached Sunday.
Oh, that's right.
Last Sunday, and I was feeling really good about it. You know, and I got some word that people got messages from my from my sermon, and that we got two new people who said they're definitely coming back, who was there for the first time last week, and they happened to be a real estate person and a broker. So they were giving me some advice about how to purchase the property, and they were very nice, and so I already have a real estate person, but she gave me some ideas, and I gave them to my real estate person, and it turned out pretty good. You know, didn't work out for me, but at least I saw some condos and some houses, so it was very nice.
All right.
And met two new friends.
Well, very good. So the message was well received. Well received.
It surprised me. You know, it always surprises you. You just do, you know.
Yeah.
Try to get a message out there. So, yeah.
You kind of like be the mailman, and you're the envelope that the letter comes in. You don't necessarily know what's in the envelope. You're just delivering the mail.
You know,
so, let the Lord use you.
You write all this stuff down. You want to say all of this stuff. Of course, I don't say everything, and then you get lost in the sermon, and whatever comes out, and I guess it came out okay.
Well, very good. All right, so the home purchasing process continues, and
it's really, I guess it's a seller's market, because you could put a bid down and give them what they want, and they don't have to. They wait till other bids come in, and then they maneuver, I guess. You know, oh no, this one's stronger than this one, so I'll take this one, even though you were the first. So I've lost a couple of houses like that. And there's not much on the market. You know, there's kind of a shortage that they're telling me.
Wow.
You know? So you go from place to place and kind of look and see. And
so then I guess people are staying. They're kind of like staying put. They're not really
right.
They're not really, looking for that new space or place. They're either fixing up or just saving the money, or
right, staying where they are. There's not that much out there that in my price range. Now, if you're looking for $300,000 or $400,000, there are houses out there, but there's very few in the range that I have. So.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. People like to own a house. I've owned 2 houses in the past. I really have no desire.
Well, I don't have that much of a desire, but look at the rents. The rents are outrageous, and I don't know why they're allowed to do that. You could get not even a decent place sometimes. You can get a cold flat sometimes for $1,500 a month.
Wow.
You are, you know, in some of these places, you say, you are kidding me. You want that much money? Yeah. So I said, why not? If I could pay the same mortgage or a little higher than I'm paying for rent, I'm going for the mortgage.
Absolutely. Now that, yeah.
And then it's our age,
Mm-hmm.
and I say, just want a little tiny house.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little tiny house. But we saw a little tiny house. It was 720 square feet. It was the smallest house I ever saw.
720 square foot. Is it single floor or?
Single floor, and it had a full basement.
The basement's not part of that square footage, is it?
No.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's top to bottom square.
Well, 700 square feet that's not a tiny house, but it's a small house.
The bedrooms. I was
first floor, right? One bedroom,
floor.
2 bedroom.
2 bedrooms. Here's a bedroom, and here's a bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
They're like this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no hallway, and then there's there was a bathroom, but the bathroom was the doorway was so narrow that my husband couldn't have gotten a wheelchair or himself with his walker hard to get into that. Then there was a little kitchen that was a nice kitchen. Oh, and they had a gorgeous enclosed back porch and an enclosed yard that was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't live in the backyard. So I had to think, so, and the stairways down to the cellar was kind of uneasy to me. I could very easily fall. So we didn't take that, but I revisited it a couple of times, but now I think they sold that. But it was the smallest house. You would have had to put the table in the living room. And the living room was not big. I mean,
so it's 2 bedrooms, 2-bedroom, living room, dining room, kitchen.
No dining room.
Oh, okay.
No dining room.
Bedroom, living room, kitchen.
Yes, and no table could fit in the kitchen.
Okay.
So it would have to go in that little living room. And I could have kind of lived with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in East Hartford, and that's another thing. It's so hard for me to consider living outside of Hartford.
Yeah.
But it appears to me that I'm going to end up out of Hartford.
That's interesting. People are moving with their feet for more than one reason, not necessarily because of the political climate, but also because of the opportunity to be able to land in a price range. Because the further away you go from Hartford, the more affordable things become. Or so it would seem.
Well, yes, East Hartford has a lot more houses.
Mm-hmm.
Vernon, and has a lot more houses available. And the ones that are in my price range in Hartford, I don't want to. I want to live where I want to live.
Right.
I don't want to live somewhere where my family won't come.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like they do now, they don't come. So I want to, have a nice space, but it costs condos. Then you got to worry about the condo fees.
Yeah, the condo fees, and then you become part of the condo association.
Yes,
which are little fiefdoms many times, and you get the wrong right person, or the right wrong person in leadership, and suddenly your home turns into a prison.
So the banks really scrutinize condos, and the association. If it's more than, I forgot the number, but it's up in the if it's like a 4 apartment condo or a 6 apartment condo, they don't have to answer to the bank, but the bigger condos do.
Oh,
so they could be hiding something, and when you get in there, we got to have a roof, we got to have this, because they don't have to report everything.
So then, like, say you get, what they call the perfect 6, 3 units and then 3 units. So you have like six apartments or 6. That could be a condo.
That could be a condo.
They don't have to. The bank really has no jurisdiction
that much over
them. And then I guess a 2, like a 4, first floor, second floor, unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, unit 4. All right. Well, yeah, but in a condo that small with 4 people, I think things might be a little bit more manageable. With the association has to be the 4 of you,
right,
or the 6 of you, and
right.
I think it's a lot easier to come to a consensus as to what's in the best interest of everybody. But I guess you could be outvoted if you don't think we need a new roof and they want a new roof and it's 5-1 or 4-2.
Yeah.
And they impose those fees on you. I don't know what the rules are for that. If what happens in the condo of 6 units where the person decides they don't want to pay. What action does can they like kick you out?
You can be evicted if you don't pay your condo fees.
That's interesting. We have to get somebody in here like a realtor or like a Leslie Hammond.
Leslie Hammond,
she would know that stuff.
Yeah, it's really more than. And the broker that I met at church, when I gave him a call, he said, "Give me a call. Maybe there's some programs that I can fit you in." But he said, I'm already in the best program I could be in.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Give me a call if you have, you can talk it out." And I said, fine. But Leslie does a pretty good job of
mm-hmm.
telling me, what's up. She didn't tell me. He went into detail where I really understood it, about the things, about the programs, about why I didn't get the house, because the program that I'm in, you have to, it's 2 months before you can have a closing, and the banks look at this and they look at that, and
mm-hmm.
it's this, I forgot, first time buyer
mm-hmm.
program, and it takes a while, where a seller may want to sell it and go, and doesn't want to be bothered with that, and if someone comes in with, they're ready to go, they
mm-hmm.
got everything,
mm-hmm.
they can close anytime, then they can close within a month. The buyer may take that.
Wow.
Or the realtor,
mm-hmm.
may take. That's an easier deal than what I have now. That's what he explained to me. I didn't understand all the things that my program would put a seller through.
Okay, it's kind of like the man with the mat who went to the pool, and he get there first, but no one to put him in the pool, and so he could get healed. Jesus says, what prohibiteth you from getting? Well, I have no man to put me in the pool. I get here, but everyone else jumps into the healing pool,
and he sits.
He's sitting on the sideline.
So that's a kind of, even he was telling me that even veterans are having a hard time, because they have to go through the same kinds of things that I have to go through, and sellers don't want to be bothered with it.
Well, that's a big problem. There are these programs to assist, but the bureaucracy and the management of the program make it so difficult and encumbers you from being able to move forward. We're here to help. Yeah, but your helping is hindering the successful outcome.
Right.
And there has to be a better way for things to be streamlined.
I figured out, I may be wrong, but in order for me to get something, I have to I have to meet up with a desperate seller who desperately cannot, not something that's on the market for 2 or 3 days or 7 days. No, you got to be on the market for like 20-something, 30 days, maybe 60 days. I said, well, I'll go in and look at that. Maybe I have a chance for that one, you know.
That might be a winning strategy, you know. I only want to see houses that have been on the market for 2 months. And, you know, then there's a likelihood that they're going to want to hold on to me because they don't want to lose me.
Right. And the second house that I bid on, I was the first bid. It was only on the market for an hour. And my son, it was on Granby Street. And my son called me from Florida. He says, look at this house. And it was on Granby Street. I said, oh, wow. And so we got right on that. And I loved it, of course. It was in Hartford. They made us wait and wait and wait. And after I waited, you know, days and days, I realized that I probably would not get that house because when I made the offer, I was the only one there, you know. But they waited until there were more offers, so they didn't want it in the first place. They didn't want probably the program that I had, so they waited until I got something better. And then you sign a contract. You can't get out of the contract. I mean, you just can't say, well, I don't.
There's a penalty.
Yeah, you can't get out of the contract. So they can hold on to those, you know, holding on to me, holding on to the other two people, and nobody can get out of the contract until the seller makes a decision. It seems to me that's how it works. Because I was told, once you do this and sign all them millions of papers, you can't get out of it. So you sit and wait and wonder until they get ready to do their thing. You know.
I always got the impression when we had two houses, owned two houses. I remember the first house we bought was it was in Bloomfield, and the intention wasn't to go out and buy this particular house. So a friend of ours had a relative that was in real estate. And so we were introduced, and she said, I'm going to find you the perfect house. Sorry. You know, we had decided that we were going to look for houses. And in my mind, this was going to take some time. Because I wasn't really sold on owning a house. And in fact, not only was I not sold on owning a house, I was sure we would never get a house. So this is my first wife. And so I remember having the conversation about moving. I said, well, you know, if we had the money, we could move. And so we don't have the money. And her response was, actually, we do. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, I've been saving some money. You know how women are. Women are saying, you know, a little salt in the way, you know. So at that point, I was sidelined. You know, what can I say? Nothing. So I said, oh, okay, all right. Well, you know, we're fine. So long story short, we went to look at this house, and immediately it was the house. In like 3 days.
Well, that's what I bought.
It was we were moving to Bloomfield. I mean, it was I was stunned at how fast this whole event happened. Just like that. But I did get the impression that the way they do you with the financing and all that, it's as though they like make sure that you are gonna be like that you don't have any money anywhere. Like you don't have money in any account. You don't have money under the like buried in the backyard. Nothing. All you've been tapped out. All your relatives. I was say, well, we just need a little bit more of this. We need a little more. Well, can you borrow? I mean, they just. I remember that first time it was very frustrating, but you know, and kind of anxiety building. But, it's a new process. Now, the second time wasn't quite like that.
Well, that's exactly what happened to me. I did borrow money.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to give it back. I told you that story. Then before the closing, I went and got the money and closed. But the second house that I had, but I never had a hard time finding a house. I mean, of course, they both were conventional mortgages. I wasn't in any kind of program or anything. So I just did it and moved into the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I was surprised with this process. Because that was many years ago. So I was surprised with the process. And they make it sound so wonderful. Oh, yes, you haven't owned a house in so many years, you can be a first time buyer. And then the process is, terrible. And then they tell you can't do this, you can't do that. No, I have to have a certain amount of taxes. Can't go over a certain amount of taxes. This has to be this way. This has to be that way. They don't want bank doesn't want, this particular bank, doesn't want a condo that is mostly investors. They want you to have a condo that people live in,
mm-hmm.
that the buyer lives in, not a bunch of investors.
Very interesting.
So it's an interesting process.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, the conventional wisdom is that home ownership is better than renting because at least you're investing in a piece of property. But I don't know. I think of it as the cost of living someplace. And so what is it going to cost? There's a fixed cost for lodging. And as long as I'm in that range, I'm good. But of course, that's the Stan McCauley theorem, which is, I'm the only one I guess that has to agree to that because it's. But that's not what everybody says.
You're trapped in a house. That's why I said.
That's what I think.
You're trapped in a house, and like I try to tell my young people to my family, but they don't listen. I said, if you don't love that house, don't buy that house. You look around until you absolutely love the house because a house is like a child. You gotta pay for it and pay for it and pay for it. You gotta fix it up. You gotta do this to it. You gotta do. A house really doesn't take care of you. You take care of the house,
mm-hmm.
and you live in it. And so if you're not willing to do that, I came out of the project. I didn't do anything. We didn't cut the grass. We didn't fix the plumbing. We did. So my first house, everything was new to me, especially when the roof started flying off the house. I said,
shingles.
Yeah.
What's going on here? You need a new roof.
I said, the neighbor said, "Hey, Cleo, your roof is just flying off, And I said, "What?" I said, "Oh my!" But I didn't see anything inside that said that. So I said, "Oh no!" So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know any roofers. I didn't know anything. So naturally, I went crying to my dad.
Well, hold that thought.
Okay.
Hold that thought. And take a short break. We'll be right back. Morning Talk. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere.
Independent thinkers are Puerto Rican, Mexican, Peruvian, Indian, Bosnian, Italian, Irish, Jamaican, African American, European, straight, gay, Nigerian, transgender, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, short, tall, skinny, rich, poor, happy, sad. Some of us hold a PhD and others a GED. And though we may be Democrats, Republicans, or members of the Working Families Party, we all have escaped the plantation of party politics and become independent thinkers because we as individuals are more than a party. You see, independent thinkers come from all walks of life. And the one thing we all have in common is that we love, live, laugh, and learn in the city of Hartford. We are the constituents, and the government of Hartford belongs to us. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I'm an independent thinker, and I approve this message because it's time to stop towing the party line and vote for a candidate you can trust. You too can escape the plantation of party politics if you have the courage to free your political mind.
So my name is Nelky Maldonado.
My name is Ramon L. Arroyo.
And we know that Hartford Parent University provides good services and resources to parents in our communities, which are greatly needed because a lot of times our parents, they don't know where to go, how to get information, and being part of this program is essential to them in being successful in their children's education.
And I think that parents should get involved in their kids' education because it's very important. Education is, I always believe, is a success in life. If you got a good education, you can be very successful.
So we encourage our parents to please come join the program, ask lots of questions, and I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed.
Hi,
My name's J. Stan McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, welcome back. It's Morning Talk. J. Stan McCauley with the Champions of Talk. This morning we have Talk Champion Cleo Duke-Wright in the house. We're talking about buying houses, among other things. So, I don't know. The house owns you. It's like you're trapped. And you know.
That's how I felt trapped. The kids were gone. I was just there by myself. Nobody came to really, every once in a while, they'd think about me and come and help me do something. But I felt trapped, and I couldn't, and I'm not handy. So it just started going down, and I just started getting more and more depressed there. So I felt trapped. All I wanted, and I had never really, I lived in an apartment once when my oldest was a baby, and that's the only apartment I ever lived in. And so I was dreaming about living in an apartment and going out and doing what I wanted to do and moving when I wanted to move and all of that kind of stuff. And, I kind of, with the bookstore, I kind of found that. But then, things happen. Now we need a one floor, and I'm going out to look for something, and these rents are outrageous. So I said, I'm not doing this. And some of these places, I mean, you're playing where I am, heat, hot water, and there's just a cold flat there. So you need something more than that, at least at my age. I need some, some conveniences.
Well, I'm of the mindset. See, I'll move in a heartbeat. I love where I am right now. I wouldn't move from here, only under the most extreme of circumstances. But I've lived places where the neighbor complained about something that weekend. Out. I have too many options. I'll load up a U-Haul, everything I have,
and say,
pictures and all, and go somewhere else. I refuse to deal with, unruly or contentious neighbors. Your home is your castle, and if you have a neighbor who's intent on making your life miserable, then your home stops being a castle. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to war with my neighbor because this is my castle and you're not going to make my life. And so you guys go back and forth. I know people who have just, bitter, almost, fighting and doing horrible things to each other's cars and, just doing unseemly things to each other, smearing fecal matter on the door.
Let's get up and go.
It's right. I'm a problem? No, not a problem. I know for a fact that the neighbor who comes, the person who comes in here after me, is going to be a whole lot more noisy because I try to be quiet and respectful. But, no.
That's what one of the things my realtor says to me about. That's why she was looking for a house. She says, Cleo, you don't know who your neighbors are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a small one, if you don't like your neighbor, a big tall building like 30 Woodland Street, well, a lot of people there. You're bound to get along with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
But, and I can understand her point. And I haven't lived in too many apartments, but we'll see.
I remember when I was looking for apartment, when I first came up here, I was working at Pratt Whitney, 1979. Gee, that was a long time ago. 1979. So I was looking for an apartment, I knew nothing about the city. So, Pratt Whitney's in East Hartford. And my first place I lived was in a rooming house. Well, it wasn't a rooming house. It was a house. And the lady in the house had a room. And she rented the room out. And I found, you go through looking in the one ads or the classified.
When we had one ads.
Back when we had one ads. You talk about dating yourself. So I'm looking into one for rooms. There was a whole section in the one ad.
Yep.
Rooms, apartments.
Yep, that's right. There was.
Handyman job wanted, it was a great time.
And a lot easier to maneuver.
Absolutely. And so the woman lived right outside the gate at Pratt Whitney. And her name was Mrs. Parferment. She was a little kindly old little lady. And I remember I had to take my shoes off because at Pratt Whitney, they treat the floor, these wooden block floors with these chemicals that gets in your shoes. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, I moved there. I stayed there, it seems to me, for about maybe 6 weeks. And then I saved up my little money. And I moved to Hartford, Mark Twain Towers, which is right across the street from St. Francis, right next to 777 Asylum Street, the medical building over there. So the Mark Twain Towers. But before I moved there, because I was looking, there's a place in East Hartford. It was called Tudor Village. It's been named several things since then.
I've heard of Tudor Village.
But Tudor Village is kind of a Tudor house, kind of a Tudor look to it, with the big wooden boards and the white. And I thought it was a really great looking place. And so I went over there. They showed me like the model apartment. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was really nice. Because when I was younger, and I moved away from home to come here, because I had great childhood, great parents, all that other stuff, but I wanted to be on my own. That was the only thing I could think about. Forever, I've always wanted to be on my own. Have my own apartment, have my own key, come when I want, go when I want. If I want to leave the lights on, I can. If I want to bake cookies in the middle of the night, I can do that. It's mine. No one to tell me anything. And so I really was looking for this apartment. So I said, well, you know what? I should come back here at nighttime and see what it's like. Because it was quiet. And I said, you know, they showed me a model apartment, but they didn't show me the apartment I was going to be living in.
Mm-hmm.
So I came back there at night and I found a way to get into the building, you know, because people don't never close the doors and stuff like that. And back where you park, the door's never pushed up all the way. So I found my way into the building and I'm walking up, man. The people is yelling and screaming, dogs barking, babies crying and carrying on. You know, you walk around in the different apartments. People cooking and you can smell the food. I said, oh, no. So I, No.
It was that bad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I, you keep the little deposit. And, I never moved in there. And I wound up moving into Mark Twain Towers. It was an efficiency. There was the door to the hallway. You come in. Right to the left is a kitchenette. And then the living room. And behind the wall of the kitchenette was the bathroom. That was it. It was efficiency.
It was yours.
It was mine. You can tell me I was living in a palace. Yeah. I've I've gone up the scale a little bit since then, in terms of apartments, but but that's where I started off. And I never lived in a city before. In fact, I remember one, it was, you come home at night, I worked second shift. By the time you get home, it's like 12:30. You get out at 12. And I remember hearing this noise, like that, like, what is that noise? And it kept getting louder and louder and louder. I was quite startled. It was a street sweeper coming down the street. It sounded to me like some sort of spaceship or something like that. I had no idea what this was, but it was getting louder, and I'd never heard that before because I'm from out in the sticks. We didn't have street sweepers. And then slowly but surely you grow into the fact that you live in the city.
Some people say, Hartford's not a city. I said, yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly is a city.
Yeah.
May not be the Hartford I grew up in, but it sure is the city.
It is the city. Hartford, Connecticut, New England's rising star. Hartford has it. I love Hartford. I absolutely love Hartford. I can't imagine not living in Hartford. Now, maybe, I can think of circumstances where perhaps we would move to another town because we move out of the state or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
But I can't imagine living outside of the city. I just.
Well, I when I'm driving around, I imagine living in a town.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was driving to East Hartford has so many communities, so many little houses. So it's like a big maze of houses. I didn't know East Hartford was that big. All these neighborhoods, all these houses. It's just one. And everybody, don't take offense to this, but everybody, regardless of race they all look alike. In East Hartford, everybody.
You mean the people or
the people? I'm not saying their features or they're all the same. Working people with their little houses, go to work, come home. Their little community. They all the same. And I'm saying, wow, Hartford is not the same. You see different types of people in different levels, and you can tell they're different levels, but in East Hartford, it's not that. And I did think at one time they were very racist because they wouldn't let the shelter come there. But they're just little communities of hardworking people.
Yeah.
That own these little houses, and they're more of a neighborhood than Hartford is.
I don't know.
And talking to their neighbors and.
I think you have that in Hartford. You just have to go to where those neighborhoods are. When you first start talking about East Hartford, first thing that came to my mind is, I don't be offended, East Hartfordites. I don't like East Hartford. I don't like the way it looks and stuff like that. But we'll pick this up on the other side of the break. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Morning Talk. East Hartford. Yeah.
They were very.
Hi, my name is Marisha Garcia. I am from Brazil. I help HPU. I help families de Universidade de Hartford Community. Estou muito feliz em participar. É muito importante o engajamento deles padres e madres nas escolas de Hartford com seus ninhos, my children. I love helping family e HPU. Thank you. Gracias. Obrigado.
Every bad political decision is made by a politician elected to office. So if you think your vote doesn't matter, just remember this. There are people sitting with politicians in a back room making deals about your future, making policies about your children, making decisions about your neighborhood. To them, you are just a vote. You are not their charity. You are not their cause. You are just a vote. Elections have consequences, and if you don't vote, you are actually voting to keep these people in power to work against you. Now, more than ever, you need to make your vote count. Declare your independence from the plantation of party politics and free your political mind.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and
Well,
you're watching
AccessTV.org.
AccessTV.org.
Okay, welcome back. Morning Talk. J.C. McCauley here, along with Cleo Duke-Wright. And Talk Champion. So we're talking about like buying houses, moving, things like that. Neighborhoods, neighbors, like, people are kind of social. As much as I'm in the public and out, I really am not that social. I think I could be. But generally, the reason I'm out is because I'm videotaping something. So there's no real need for me to be social or time to be social because I'm behind the camera shooting stuff. So I really don't get a chance to talk to people or engage. But like my neighbors, I don't really know my neighbors. I see them. I might wave, but other than that, you know, my thinking is, you know, no, I nobody want me in their business, so I stay out of their business. But neighbors, you know, your where your house is in a neighborhood, and so it would seem to me where, you know, the relationship you have with the people in your community, you know, would seemingly be important. I mean, I don't really have neighbors because I live around a lot of law offices. So, I mean, there's like maybe one neighbor up the street that you see every once in a while. And, of course, across the street, there's a whole neighborhood. But it's kind of gated and fenced in. So, you know, and I think maybe kids help bind the neighborhood together, because the kids go out and they play with one another, and then I think, you know, when you have kids, you know your neighbors more than if you don't have kids. I don't know, this is just me rambling. Well, what do you think? You know, like, do we have those kinds of neighborhoods anymore?
I don't know. In my head, I never moved out of Westbrook Village. That's a community to me. And when I bought, you think everybody's like that. Sit out on the back porch, maybe play games, and you know. But when I bought the first house, I was shocked that I didn't have. I mean, the people talk to each other and all of that, but it's not like the project. It's not like having a real neighbor. You know, you may go over there and talk to them a little while, but it was not like having a real neighbor. Some of my friends moved to neighborhoods that they could have real neighbors. You know, my first house was on Harold Street. Everybody did their own thing, and it was beginning to be mixed with different cultures, and so it was not like the project. The project, you know, you call over, hey, I need such and such and such and such, or you sit down on a porch, or the man next door, my son fell off the stair. That man was coming home from work. Boy, did he blast me about my little 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old, falling off the step, you mothers, and blah, 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 blah. And then there were older people who lived in my building because I had a 1-bedroom. And they'd say things like, these were old people. They'd say, and I'd be sitting out on the porch with the baby. She says, you know, they'd have a conversation, not with me. Oh, you know, it's getting kind of chilly out here, don't you think that baby ought to
talking about you through each other.
That's
about you, like you're not there.
And so I looked at them all, you know, they kept talking, you know, so I got, you know, and that's also a time when we had elders, and they were supposed to know better. And this is my first baby, right? So I picked up and I went upstairs, you know. So that's the kind of, these older people, and this was still when Westbrook Village had 1 black to this 4-apartment building and 3 whites.
In terms of families.
And families. And these 3 other families, they were all older white women. And they'd be sitting under this tree, this little tree, and they'd be talking and wanted to know, no parties, no blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't a party person, so it was no problem to me. But what they said to me, commented on, I did follow. you know, even though they might have been racist, even though they didn't ever directly ever, and I think I was there for a year and a half, 2 years before I bought my house, ever speak directly to me. They spoke to each other if I was around there. And I had one party when I was there, and it wasn't a loud party, but they said it was So that party ended rather quickly. Not, it didn't last too long, but they were my childhood friends,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't. I didn't know how to throw a party anyway, so they didn't mind leaving. But that's how it was, Even you didn't talk together, you all sat out together.
Mm-hmm.
You all communicated in some kind of way. The men came home in the evening, and when I bought my house, I was 24, 25. I bought my first house. I was a single mother and bought my house. The man next door, who had raised his kids in that same 5-room house, came by the house I bought and looked at the house and all of that. They didn't come in, and went home and said to his wife, "If that kid could buy a house, so could we." So they moved out. They had been there 20-something years, just like my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Their children were a little younger than us, but not all that much. He went out and bought a house in Bloomfield, and I think that's where his wife still stays today. So there were a lot of people after I bought a house went out and bought houses. My aunt,
Mm-hmm.
my sister,
Mm-hmm.
this woman,
Mm-hmm.
and my friends had little snide remarks, and it was all a mistake. I mean, not a mistake that I bought the house, but I wasn't really looking for a house. I was just trying to dig at this doctor that irritated me
Mm-hmm.
and told me I could not buy a house. I said, "Oh, really?" And so I went out pretending. I call these pretending times. I was just pretending.
Wound up with one.
And I wound up with one. And that happens to me a lot. I say, "Oh Lord, I'm just pretending. I don't mind if it doesn't happen, but I'm just going to pretend that it's going to happen. And I'm going to act like it's going to happen."
Mm-hmm.
So I go out and I act like it's going to happen. And I haven't planned anything. I hadn't done anything. I don't have anybody. I had nothing. So I just act like that. And so I get it. So I don't do that too anymore. Because if you act like that and you really believe that that's, hey, this and that and the other thing, you just might get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that has happened to me throughout my life. So I just have to smile
Mm-hmm.
because it's the way life goes. The way my life has gone. I wanted to be in center city churches, and you had to preach. I didn't preach,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to take care of the pantry. So I said, "Oh, sure, I could do that. I could tell a story." I was just, I didn't think them people were gonna hire me, but they did. But when I obsess on things,
Mm-hmm.
I really want it. I gotta have it all. I don't ever get it.
It's interesting. There's so many things that we do in life that kind of just fall into place. I never given it much thought, but it'd be interesting to have conversations with people about how much of where they are was because they planned it, and how much of where they are is because they were just in the right place at the right time, or the circumstances led to this, that led to that led to this, and here you are. I think more things happen in life that way, just organically, naturally, as opposed to some hard, fast plan and rule.
I'm not a planner. I'm sorry to say, I'm not a planner.
Mm-hmm.
I remember standing in a hallway in Westwood Village, and knowing that if every time I thought something was going to happen, I really believed it happened, good or bad. So I'd say, if you really believe it. So I tried to do that for some reason, and I don't know. I just called it I told you about this. I just called it the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It just came around. But feelings could run havoc with your life sometimes.
Well, that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Stick and stay. We'll be right back. Morning Talk. Myself and Cleo Duke-Wright. Morning Talk.
My name is McCauley, and I do business as Light Source Productions. I provide professional services in the area of strategic video communications. First, what we do is we help you craft your message using what I call the rule of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. We do event documentation, content acquisition, full-scale productions, editing, and of course distribution through our social media television network. And with social media, video is more important now than it has ever been. Whether you're talking big business, small business, nonprofit, church, or just an individual. Let's say you plan you're planning an event, a wedding, whatever the case may be. But let's say a big event, but no video. And you spent all this time, all these hours to put this event on, and maybe 100, 200 people attend the event. But more important than that is that thousands could attend by watching it on social media. But of course, you don't think about this until after the event is over. You can't afford not to capture it for social media. And despite what people think, I am affordable. Give me a call. Let's plan your next video project and share it with the world on my social media television network. I promise you that you will have the attention of one person, me.
Hi,
My name's McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Welcome back, Morning Talk. Yeah, we're having an off-air conversation about some of these politicians who are less than truthful, let's say. Yeah. This guy out of New York, and who just got elected. He's a Republican, and the Republicans out there in his district are furious because he lied.
What? Didn't they research him? Did they believe him?
People did research him, but they couldn't get any traction, and not there were people out there that researched him. Oftentimes, this happens when people are running for office. There's a group of folks who will do the background checking and do the deep dive, opposition research type stuff. Find out all the dirt that they can on the person, and sometimes it's hard to get that out because if the major media doesn't pick up on it, it winds up being in small venues, online programs like ours, or a little community newspaper. But
it was out there.
It was
always out there.
It was all kinds of out there.
So you're saying the Congress people, the people that he works with, the people who supported him, had no idea.
There's some sense that there were people within the party hierarchy who knew, but they keep it quiet because, of course, these kinds of things would upset the apple cart for the sake of the party. So the party doesn't want to take a hit. It's these kinds of things always wind up disastrous, whether it's the Catholic Church or some school system. They hide the wrongdoings of individuals because it will make the whole system look bad or make the organization look bad when it is what it is. So you may as well get rid of the problem right in the beginning, because you don't let the problem fester and get deeper, because that's all that's going to happen when people start. The cover up is always worse than the crime.
So now what did it do to the organization? Exactly what they did not want it to do, right?
Well, it brings a bad light, but the sad part is that most people have the mindset, well, politicians lie anyway.
Yeah, but not about everything.
Well, everything is relative. He seems to be a what do you call it? Not a habitual liar, but like a compulsive liar. He can't help himself, which is a real problem for some people. They can't.
Oh, so you're
tell
saying
the truth.
To a certain extent, he believes this himself.
I don't know that he believes it, but he can't tell the truth. Like some people. Okay, so why weren't you were late this morning? What happened? Oh, well, I was on my way to work and there was this shootout at the bank. And so, I had traffic all jammed up and everything. Really? Yeah, it was really bad. No, you missed you were just late. You just be late. You don't have to make up some story. And I think a lot of times what happens with politicians is they fall into a trap of trying to say what they think you want to hear. And so they just make stuff up. Oh, I did that when I was younger. Yeah, I did landscaping. It's great work. It's hard work. Salt of America work. Backbreaking work. And so, I know where you're coming from. I didn't even last very long, but I did that. I did some landscaping. Great
Yeah,
opportunity. And they just be making stuff up. And everywhere they go, the more you start that stuff, and then the more you make up excuses instead of telling the truth, you lie. Lying becomes the first option. So people just say stuff and they go unchallenged.
And that you're saying that doesn't have anything to do with their ability to do the job that they were sent there for.
If the job requires integrity, and to me, being elected requires the utmost integrity. So if you have no integrity, you have no honor. And without honor, you can't be a champion in terms of the trust of the people.
Well, we have...
But that is not a standard.
What you just said, how many of our politicians fill that bill?
Well, that's the point I'm making. You know, so but that's unfortunately that's less on the politician and more on the constituent that sits by and allows that. It's like having a babysitter that comes over your house that eats all your food up and has a little party and then goes on. You say, well, you know, they probably were lonely, so they invited a couple people over to the house. This is no big thing, you know, and we'll include that as part of their...
That is one thing I hate. Somebody saying to me, it's my stuff, my time, my place, everything is mine, and I have you in there, and you're going to tell me it's no big thing. That just sort of infuriates me.
Right.
How do you know it's not a big thing?
Right. Right. Well, that's you're much like me. When someone tells me how I'm thinking or something, that's a automatic. I have very few triggers, but that's one of them. Oh. And you're not in a position to tell me how I think.
That's right. That's right.
I own my thoughts. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me, well, what you really meant to say. No. But the politicians that lie get away with it because no one challenges them. As you know, and they are emboldened. And you know, so let's say you have every elected official is tasked with moving an agenda forward. And unfortunately, there are probably as many people in favor of the agenda as there are against the agenda. So, you know, if you're an appeaser, a people pleaser, then you don't want to make anybody mad. So you have to lie to somebody. So I thought you were in favor of this. Well, I am, but you know, I'm getting a lot of pushback from such and such, and you know, I'm still championing for you. No, you're not. You're lying. And you're saying the same thing to both people. Because you don't want to upset anybody, and then you put the whole situation on someone else. And so rather than to just be honest and own it, this is where your position is, and if you don't like me, don't vote for me. But so they start down the dark path of lying. Then you get attorneys to speak for you. And then you have spin. Well, I know that's what he said, but that's what I know when the president spoke, she said this. But what she really meant to say was.
No, she said this.
Well, no, I think you misheard her.
Oh, and that's another one that will.
You misheard.
That's another thing that really gets me. And look you dead in the eye. Look you dead in the eye. They don't even blink. They're just saying, oh, they use the non-expression.
Blank face.
And said you know, like you're gonna scare me, or I'm gonna back up, you know, and that's no. I never trust the blank face.
Yeah, blank face is a blank canvas, and then that way you can assign to them whatever emotion you want, but they learn how to do the blank face.
You know, that man on that panel, on that debate, he talked with a totally blank face. So he might have been telling the truth of what he was saying, but I couldn't really believe him because I never believed the blank face.
Well,
it shows absolutely you want them to have some emotion. I can remember wanting my boss to have some emotion, but he had trained himself to do the blank face, and I could be out of my mind screaming, and he sits there with that blank face, and then says some few words, and you know, and that's taught. People out it. I don't believe that that's natural.
No, you learn how to have the blank face and how to say things that are either de-escalate or be neutral, so you can't be held accountable for what you said or expressed. Because you talk with your body too, and you talk with your face. So if you're going to be a master liar, you have to learn how to lie with a straight face.
Yes, and do it.
And some people are I call them tactical liars. But the key to dealing with all of these kind of liar type folk is to remember they work for you. There is not an elected official on the planet that you should be intimidated by. None. There's no elected. See, that's a trigger for me. The topic is a trigger for me. So to me, there's no elected official that should intimidate. Their representatives shouldn't intimidate. They little lobbyists shouldn't intimidate. I mean, it pushes me to cuss. It's
they make people feel so unimportant. Like, I need you. I need your support. I need you to do this. I need you. I need you. I need you. And then actuality, it's the other way around.
Right. No. This is your government. I get heart palpitations talking about it. It's your government, not theirs. They have the luxury and the privilege to manage it for you. There's plenty of room for disagreement. Let's sit down and talk. Do not impose and manipulate. To me, that is the height of insult, and I get visceral about those kinds of things, as though you're being played. You're being played, and it might never be humble opinion being played by amateurs. They because you don't push back, they think that you're an easy push.
Oh, so, I had a lifelong experience.
You come close to the edge, especially as one gets older. Please, it's laughable. But I digress. It's a good thing we're running out of time. Yeah, well, it is the political season, and there's going to be forums and debates, and I'm dedicated to covering as much of this stuff as I can. But I'm about to be unhinged and challenge folks' statements from the audience, because I hear people tell the things that aren't true, and I'm just like fit to be tongue. We're too polite.
I don't know what the truth is a lot of times, but I know if you didn't answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what's the truth. I know when you're dancing around an answer, then I know something's up. But I don't know the truth. They're talking. I don't know if it's.
I don't know what truth is, but I know you're not telling it. That's kind of where I am. I know you're being less than truthful. I don't know if you're lying, but I know you're being less than truthful.
Yeah.
So I need you to back up that statement in real time right now with verifiable data, or else you just run off at the mouth. You say stuff because you think no one will challenge you. Give me what supports your comment right here, right now. Executive summary, or else you don't know what you're talking about.
Unless you're going to be at every debate that they have, they're going to get away with a lot, especially with seniors who knew you when you were young, or knew you when you were a baby. I was there when you was born. Those they idolize you. Mm-hmm. They idolize you. And so whatever comes out of your mouth must be truthful. And they're not going to question you.
That is true, and it's also very unfortunate that happens. But that to me, that is a crime. That's a crime to me. If you know someone has put their faith and trust in you, that's what they put their faith and trust in you, and you manipulate that faith and trust, and abuse them. To me, that's exploitation. That's exploitation of the community. To me, people guilty of that are guilty of treason. It's an act of treason to the community.
When you're in that kind of position and the people around you trust you, that's a responsibility.
Yes, the highest responsibility.
So, I've told you this many times when I was tired and wanted to go home and someone walks into the office and says, they told me up the street, I was at the train station, I was over here, and I don't know what to do. And they told me if I came here, that would, that would sit me down every time. They told me if I came here, you would help me. And what I would always think was, if they have that much trust in me, I gotta help this.
You gotta help them.
And that, I was thinking more of the people who gave me the trust, who trust me that much. And you don't know why people trust you so much, but if they do trust you, don't betray that.
Right.
Don't betray that. Don't betray them.
That's a horrible thing. People use your trust in them to manipulate you and work for agents and entities who are doing you harm. That's inexcusable to me.
And smile in your face all the time.
Treason. It's treason. It's treason. Treason. All right, well, we're out of time, thank goodness. Not that because I'm about to say some stuff I don't want to say on the air, so that's why I'm saying thank goodness. I'll tell you when we get off the air.
Thank you for here.
All right, my friends, our time together has come to an end. And so we'll see you next time. All right. Y'all have a blessed rest of the day. Miss Cleo, good to see you again, of course, always.
Good to be here, Stan.
All right, my friends. Stick and stay. More great stuff coming. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
My name is J. Stan McCauley, and I do business as Light Source Productions. I provide professional services in the area of strategic video communications. First, what we do is we help you craft your message using what I call the rule of the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why. We do event documentation, content acquisition, full-scale productions, editing, and of course distribution through our social media television network. And with social media, video is more important now than it has ever been. Whether you're talking big business, small business, nonprofit, church, or just an individual. Let's say you plan you're planning an event, a wedding, whatever the case may be. But let's say a big event, but no video. And you spent all this time, all these hours to put this event on, and maybe 100, 200 people attend the event. But more important than that is that thousands could attend by watching it on social media. But of course, you don't think about this until after the event is over. You can't afford not to capture it for social media. And despite what people think, I am affordable. Give me a call. Let's plan your next video project and share it with the world on my social media television network. I promise you that you will have the attention of one person, me.